Hi, Scott Grove here from Easy Inlay, and in this episode I want to show you how to cut shapes out of our Paua abalone material. Quite frankly, the best way to cut intricate shapes is with a laser or even a CNC. But I understand a lot of people don't have that, so I'm going to kind of go old school and show you how to do it by hand. Now, depending on how intricate your shape is, you can simply use a pair of scissors. And you can cut curves and sort of simple shapes with that, and you do get a very nice edge just with a pair of scissors. But maybe that's not the best thing if you're trying to do something very intricate. You can also use an X-acto knife. Many times I would freehand a shape on here. I'm using a fine magic marker. I can see that. I guess you can too, but I'm going to draw a little fatter just so you guys can see what I'm doing here. And I can take an X-acto knife and certainly work my way around this way. But as you can see, it's kind of hard to cut a nice smooth line freehand with an X-acto knife. It can be done, but it takes a little practice. One method is, instead of sort of dragging, you can simply stab through around the shape. And that works. But as you can see, you don't get the smoothest of edge this way. I could try cutting this with scissors, and a shear cut with scissors works much better. And as you can see, the scissors do a much better job than the X-acto knife. The X-acto knife I might only use for sort of that inside corner, but it's still not maybe as graceful as you like. So there's a better way. The traditional method is to use a coping saw or a jeweler's saw. And what you'll want is to get a very fine jeweler blade. And jeweler blades are rated in a number format. Finer blades are actually below 0, and it's referred to as an aught. So I like to use what's called a 2-aught. So that's sort of a -2 blade size. So you can see how fine this blade is here. Just get a 2-aught single skip or double skip blade, and that should work just fine. So the next thing you're going to need is a way to support your material in 2 ways. So this is called a bird's mouth. You can simply take a block of wood, cut a sort of a V in. I also cut sort of a taper the end, and this allows me to sort of hold my material and make a cut this way. A lot of people will just make a board and put it down low, but then you got to bend over, and I find that sort of uncomfortable for my neck. So I made this little stand so it makes the working surface at standing height or even sitting height. And I'll bring that to the edge and simply clamp that to my bench. It gives me a comfortable working height, and I can support my material. The next thing you want to do is remember that the Paua shell is somewhat fragile. It's very thin and it can flex. And when you sort of cut it, it may sort of bend and break on you. So it's nice to support that material. So I take simply a sheet of poster board. This is kind of very thin cardboard. You can use hardboard if you want, although the hardboard makes it harder to cut, which actually isn't a bad thing sometimes, to have a little resistance. If it cuts too easy, you can kind of be all over the place. But I found that the poster board works really, really well. So what I'm going to do here, again, is draw my heart shape. And take my cardboard, and you want to work right sort of in the groove to have enough support. And I'm going to take my saw, and I'm simply going to start cutting. You want to keep your saw straight up and down, and make nice, full, even strokes, and just work your way around. And if it gets hard to cut, it probably means you're cutting into the wood, and you can then certainly slide this away and cut a little better. And I can feel it cutting, but it goes relatively quickly. and you simply just turn the blade to steer your cut. The beauty about using a jeweler saw is you can make very, very tight corners. You can, in fact, make a sharp corner. It takes a little practice, but you simply go up and down and turn your blade 90 degrees, and now I'm coming back in the other direction. Now in this case, my blade is actually hitting my material, so you can simply cut that off. Save that for another day. And there you go. It may look a little jagged. That's actually the PSA adhesive that's on the back. So that simply just sort of pulls off. I've got a nice consistent edge, and I'm ready for my inlay. You can go ahead and clean this up with a little sandpaper if you wanted to, if your steering wasn't so good. A Dremel with those little disc sandpapers are also good to sort of tune up your shape. And you can use this on a power scroll saw, although keep it on very low speed because sometimes they can be a little too aggressive. I prefer to do these by hand because I have a lot of control and I can stop my stroke in midstream and kind of adjust my turns. So I hope that helps for cutting shapes out of your Paua shell. I'm sorry I don't remember the guy who asked that question, but someone asked that question, and we're always trying to keep everybody up to speed on techniques on using our product. So thanks for watching again. Oh, so if you wanted to go into production and or cut a pocket for your shape, it's actually easier and faster to use a router with one of these little template guides and make a template. This way you can cut the shape out with a router, and then you can use the same template to cut the pocket that you're inlaying into. This only works for really flat surfaces, but I do have a course on that, so go to Imagine Woodworking to check that full course out on how to use template guides. The examples I use are for Paua shell and for veneer, so that's a great inlay course that you can go ahead and take, so check that out too. Thanks again for watching. Happy inlay. And remember, easy inlay makes inlay easy. Thanks for watching.